Hello, everyone, and welcome to It's Not Just Magic. I am your host, Cassie Clayton, and with me here today, I've got Ronnie and Ryan. Welcome to the show, Ronnie.
Thank you. Happy to be here, Cassie.
Absolutely. So, Ronnie, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay. So I'm a love and intuitive coach, and love is dating. It's all about how to find love. I work with women who are mostly over 40 and single, successful, etc., but they're struggling with love. And then intuitive, because sometimes the practical stuff just isn't enough and you need some help from the other side.
On mute. Sorry, my dog was barking. Absolutely. I totally agree. Yes, sometimes you need a little bit of help. So, all right. So tell us a little bit how you got on your journey.
Okay. Well, there's a couple pieces to the story. So the first one is I started my career in advertising. And then I went and got an MBA and I went into the marketing end of things. And I worked at General Foods, which is now Kraft Foods, in brand marketing, which is very classic. So I got some excellent classical training, but I did not fit well into the corporate mold. I just, didn't love it. So then I decided to look for something else and freelance. And I freelanced for a nice long time, which suited my personality because I had a lot of freedom. And just as I was getting really sick to death of some client, the project would be over. And that was so wonderful. I can't even tell you. So I did that for a long time. And then I started getting older. So as I started to get into my late 30s, a lot of the clients, I worked in other agencies. So their clients were often people who had just come out of some of the top schools. So they were like 25 or 26. They came from Ivy League schools and they treated everyone like crap because they came from Ivy League and you're just somebody who works, So regardless of whether I had an MBA or not, or I had work experience or not, and I just got really tired of I'm not a people pleaser, it's just not, which is why I wasn't good in the corporate world.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I could go for so long, but when people tried my patience, it was like all over my face. So I started thinking, there's got to be another way. What else can I do? And a friend of mine said, oh, you should try coaching. So now we're at about the year 2000. And then the towers came down.
Oh, yeah.
And when the towers came down in Manhattan, a lot of things changed in the marketing arena. And that was like, I was already thinking about it, but that just put the nail in the coffin of freelancing at that time. So a lot of marketing budgets got cut. So anyway, I thought, all right, jump in. I went to coaching school. And as I did, I had just gotten married and realized that coaching was the perfect avenue to help people with dating. And there were no dating coaches at all at the time. So that's what precipitated that whole decision. It was time to pivot. And this idea of coaching came up and I thought, well, let me go to coaching school and check it out. I really wanted to do something new. And there you go.
That's awesome. I do love how you're like, I'm not a people pleaser. This is not, and I will tell you how it is, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, I don't really sugarcoat anything, but I will admit that over the years, I have softened and learned about positioning and delivery and tone of voice and that sort of thing, and coming at things from a softer, more compassionate position. And certainly that's what coaching did for my skills, because I had all the hard marketing skills or whatever, but I learned a lot in coaching about how to listen and talk to people, which was incredibly valuable.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So, what is, what's like one thing or story that's had like the most profound impact on you as a person?
Wow, that's a big question. On me as a person.
It could also like relate to your business and like
Sure.
how that ties in. Yeah.
Okay.
Makes it a little
Gosh, there's so many if I'm going to look at it like that. I think one of the things that had the biggest impact was learning about asking for a sign. So I, so I'm just going to tell you a personal story. My husband, I dated him for about 5 months. I foolishly told him I loved him first. Don't do that if you can help it. I don't recommend it. I mean, things might be a little different now. That was a while ago, but and he didn't, he didn't respond. He didn't run away, but he wouldn't say the words. And I started thinking, I am not going to put up with this. I have to go. If he can't, I can't be with somebody who's not going to tell me he loves me. If he can't do it, I'm out of here.
Oh my goodness.
So I broke up with him. So I'm a hard ass. So I broke up with him, and he called me after that, and he was like, he made a case. And I thought, that's interesting, because he didn't want to let it go. So that helped me feel better, because even though he wouldn't say the words, there was something there that he was attached to. So I said, all right, let's take 2 weeks. I have to travel. I'm going for business. I'm going to see my parents in Florida, and then we'll come back and talk. So I thought, all right, this is the perfect opportunity to ask the universe for a sign. So it was the winter, and I live in Connecticut, so it's cold. And I wanted to see a blue bird while I was away, but I'm like, no blue jays, that doesn't count. I need to see a blue bird while I'm away. We've got 2 weeks, and if I see a blue bird, then I'll know I have to give this guy another chance. We'll see what happens. All right. Day 14. I'm getting ready to go to the airport. I look at the back of my parents' kitchen window, and I see this gigantic gray bird. It's like 3 feet tall. It was huge. I'd never seen anything like it. I'd never seen a bird that big. I'm like, Dad, what is that thing? He goes, oh, that's a blue heron. I'm like, a blue heron? I'm like, well, I asked to see a blue bird. It wasn't actually blue, but its name was Blue. And I thought, that's a hell of a big bird. So I'm going to have to take that as a yes from the universe.
Right.
So when I got back, I got together with the man who is my husband now. And, we talked things over or whatever, and we worked it out. So I'm really glad I asked the universe for a sign, because I don't know that I would have given him a chance. And that's, so learning how to pay attention and be open to signs and symbols, to ask for a symbol and give it. I like to know what my symbol is and give it a time frame. And I've made a lot of business decisions, life decisions. I chose, I decided on my husband that way. I decided where to move that way. I decided on a business that way. Sometimes those pro and con lists and asking every person just gets on your nerves and gives you lots of information, but you just can't decide.
Exactly. I like that. I like the fact that you're like, here's my time. Like, it's like I'm setting intentions, but with boundaries.
Boundaries, yes, I am a boundary queen. Yes.
Like, all right, universe. But the reason that I love that is that it really takes it into the level of you are co-creating with the universe. You're saying, okay, universe, I am going to ask you for a sign, but I'm going to put boundaries on that sign so that we can talk to each other and co-create in a way that it's like, it's very clear.
Right.
Like,
and I didn't want it to, drag on. Is this going to be how long will it take to see a sign, and how will I know what the sign is? And if I read it right or whatever. So I'm like, I'm going to be specific. That's what I find is most helpful for me.
Right. So here's my question. Has the universe ever not gone on your timeline?
Yes, there have been times where I got no answer. And when I got no answer, I realized that was an answer, right?
Right.
If you don't see the sign. So one time my neighbors had this dog, and it was older, and always come in our yard to poop. You know how that is. Why would you poop in your own yard? And I really was tired of it, but our driveways are about a foot apart. And I wanted to say something, and I thought, I don't know, I had a bad feeling. So I said, if I should say something, I want there to be an opening in the next 3 days where it just comes up naturally in conversation. No opening. Never said a word. And soon after that, sadly, the dog passed away, and that was the end of that problem.
Oh.
So I know it was very sad, but it wasn't through anything I did, and I didn't piss off my neighbors and whatever. And the next dog they trained, and that didn't happen. So the universe did still take care of it. I didn't ask for that to happen to the poor dog, but she was very old. So
right. Well, I mean,
it's natural.
In a story like that, it's like you still got the outcome that you wanted. It was just there was no action that actually needed to be taken on your end.
No, I did nothing. Just the natural course of events took care of it.
I absolutely love that. That is so awesome. So, so I love the fact that you work in the intuitive, like doing the trusting and co-creating. When somebody comes to you and they're like, Ronnie, I'm trying to figure out my next life step. Where do I go from here? What is it that you tell them? How do you start working them through that process?
Well, that's such a good question. You know, I enjoy working with people who are taking an active role. So for me, that means they have specific questions. For example, if they come to me and they say, I don't know where to go next, I can't really help them. But if they say, you know, I'm thinking of like 3 or 4 different things and I just can't think about it anymore, then I can say, tell me what they are. And then we'll look at the energy of each thing, each choice, decision, or whatever option it is. And then we'll see which one has the most energy, which one seems to feel the best with their energy. So that's one way. You know, sometimes if someone has a specific issue, then I might channel their guides, or I also look at their past lives. We can go into the Akashic records and, you know, look to see if there's anything left over that's creating this in this lifetime as well. So I have a lot of different tools to use to help, you know, figure out. I love to, if you have a question, I want to find a solution.
That's awesome. So explain the love part. So you say you're the love and intuitive coach.
Right.
So
the love part is about dating for single women who, you know, dating isn't like it was in the 80s or even in the 90s, right? It's like a whole new world out there. Modern dating is very different. And there are a lot of places where people can get hung up in the process. And for me, what happened was I pretty much didn't date for an embarrassing amount of time. And then I decided to get serious because I really wanted to find my husband. And I dated 30 guys in 15 months. So what happened was I became privy to so much information and understanding in a very short amount of time that I finally caught on to stuff. I was doing this at a time when there really weren't a lot of books or anything. So, but I caught on. And I also found 2 girlfriends who actually knew something about men and in hetero dating and could set me straight, because most people that I knew really didn't know the way they knew, like they could read between the lines. So I learned so much on my own path to find my husband that I realized after we got married, I'm like, you know, I'm not the only one like this who's single who doesn't get it. Because I spent a lot of years not getting it, not understanding, being heartbroken for stupid reasons because I had ridiculous expectations and whatever. So that's what I do. I help people. First, we're going to look at their inner plane, you know, like what are your beliefs and your attitudes about yourself, about love, about men, about dating, you know. And then we're going to talk about the practicality of dating and what this means, what that means, what works best, whatever. And then we're going to work on, you know, loving yourself and some motivation. It's very comprehensive because you want to be in the best place possible. You want to feel good about yourself so you can handle rejection, which you're bound to encounter. But you also want to feel good about yourself so that you can be selective and not just take anybody who pays attention to you, because you want a compatible, healthy, lasting match. Usually the women who come to me don't want a casual date, you know. They want to find the love of their life. They want to find their romantic partner. And that takes a little bit more conscious effort, we'll say.
Absolutely. It is kind of funny because lately because I do a lot of intuitive work. I work with a lot of, I'm in a number of classes and things like that. And probably for the last several months minimum, people are like, there's a relationship coming your way. And I'm like, oh. Like, oh, really? Why?
Oh, you don't want one?
I don't know that I don't want one. I've just never really been successful in one. So it's kind of like, okay.
Well, you know what? Go back to boundaries, right?
Yeah.
So with boundaries, it would be fine. If the universe is going to bring me a relationship, then I want it to be healthy. I want it to be supportive. I want it to be mutual. I want it to be satisfying. I want us to grow together. That's part of your manifesting. So if you're like, fine, if you want to bring me a relationship, here are my parameters. Right? You get to choose. You're not going to have to be a victim of some relationship if you don't want.
Right.
And I also feel like not everybody has to have a relationship. So you can say, no.
Right.
It's up to you, Cassie. You're cool. You're good. You're cool. You're in charge. That's what you have to remember, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's funny to me because it's like it comes up all the time.
Oh, that is interesting.
And there was even like a week or so ago where somebody was bringing it up, and I was like, no. And our teacher just had happened to like pop in the room right at that time, and she was like, "Oh, because I've been with her long enough." She was like, "I know why you're getting yes, and she's saying no."
That's really funny.
She's like, the universe is saying yes. I'm like, I get that. So yes, you're like, if she's not going to validate this for you, I will. I'm like, okay.
That's pretty funny. Well, they say that we come to Earth to grow. And if you're on Earth to grow, one of the ways to really get a lot of growth is to have relationships with people. That's why we have families and we have friends, we have coworkers, and we have romantic partners, because that's how we learn, through interacting with other people. So it might just be another growth opportunity.
Yes.
But what if it brought you some joy too? I mean, your history does not have to predict or indicate your future. And there's no reason to drag all that mud into the present moment. Just leave that stuff over there, or clean it up a little, do some of that letting go stuff or whatever. And, I'm not sure when this will air, and maybe you can cut this up, but Lionsgate 8/8, right? Lionsgate's coming up. So that's like the epitome of manifesting, and it just amplifies. So put out there, if I'm going to be in a relationship, what do I want? And think about it and put it out there.
Awesome.
Yeah, just say, hey, I want it to be fun. I want it to be easy. I want it to feel natural. Fun. And I want to be me. I don't want to have to change, or whatever it is that's, concerning you, flip it around and make it what you want.
I like that. I guess it's one of those things that's just never really been on the radar. So it's not really something that I conscious effort think about. So it's always that the situation where I'm like, oh, well, I just my focus is here. It's like, I don't see it coming in because my focus is here. Yeah. But so I've never really thought of oh, this could be fun, or this could I've never really thought of it in general.
Well, I have found that sometimes people who aren't thinking about it have the easiest time finding love, and the people who are super hyper focused on it struggle sometimes. But I do personally believe that for me, I did need to focus on it, because I had pushed it away and not been involved for so long that I needed the focus. But everybody's different. It's really, there's no one way, one solution, whatever. Everything is so individualized.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That is true.
So,
and it probably will be that I will have to sit down and focus on it and be like, this is what I want in this.
I think that, anytime you spend time thinking about what you want, you're better off, because then you gain clarity. You cannot never lose with clarity, right?
This is very true.
It really makes a difference. You know, when women come to me and they go, oh, I know what I want. I'll know it when I see it. I'm like, uh-oh.
No, you won't.
No. You'll go for the charm and the sex appeal and the heavy duty chemistry, but that has nothing to do with indicating long-term potential. Isn't that terrible? Like that super sizzling hot chemistry is really not about love. It's just about maintaining the species.
Very true.
Chasing chemistry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say chasing chemistry is always a problem. It doesn't, it's heartbreak ready to happen.
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting because one of my very good friends, and also she is my co-host for another show that we do together. She actually went through the process of, I've had all these relationships in the past that they haven't worked out. So she literally sat down and was like, these are the things that I want in this relationship. And she ended up finding like the perfect guy for her.
Oh, don't you love that?
I so love it. It makes me so happy because when I see them together, it's like, oh, she found her person. And it so situations like that, it can happen. It does happen.
It can happen. It does happen. And I'm really glad I spent the time and invested my energy in finding love, because I've been married for 22 years and he's still with me. I'm still with him. We haven't kicked each other out yet. We're doing good. We're happy. We got through the pandemic, so I'm very happy that I did that. But, it's everybody has to make that decision. I understand more than that not everyone wants a relationship, and that's okay.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you brought up the pandemic. Did that change the dynamic of your all's relationship at all?
Oh, from my husband and I? No. No, it's so funny because we're not like connected at the hip at all. You know how some people just like do everything together? So when he had to stay home, okay, wait, in all fairness, he was in a company that did not shut down. So he did go to work.
Okay.
So that just occurred to me, like, yeah, but even when he's had time off or he had an injury and he was home for 3 months, we still do okay, because a lot of times my office is upstairs and his computer's downstairs and we do separate things and then we have lunch or whatever. So we're not like sitting together all the time and I'm trying to goad him into having conversations with me or something, So it's not like that. So it's easier.
Do you think, and with the clients that you did work with, do you think that the pandemic changed like either some of what their expectations are when it comes to relationships, or did you see a shift with that, or did it with the people that you work with, or did it kind of stay the same?
That is a great question. A lot of things showed up. So there was a whole group of people who they're kind of terrified of dating. They're afraid of men. They never want to be hurt again. They're not really that open. And so this was the perfect opportunity to go, I couldn't possibly date now. It's too dangerous. Right? So there's a lot of people like that. On the flip side, I heard from more clients in 2020, most of them were ex-clients, a couple from the same year, who found love and got married. Oh, wow. In the pandemic, because they decided, that's it. I don't want to be alone through this. Are you kidding me? And they were careful. Nobody wrote to me and said, oh, I caught COVID dating. Thanks a lot. I mean, no, that didn't really happen. They were safe. They did have to take some risk at some point, but they met each other. They went on walks outside and stuff. When there's a will, there's a way. They found people, more people than in all the years I'd been in business, wrote to me and told me, hey, I got married. Hey, I found love. Hey, I found the right guy. Hey, and sometimes I work with men, not that often, but I'm happy when men come in because I get to see the inside of what's going on in their brains. So, and how it works. And so, even men have told me, yes, I decided this is it. What am I doing? I think a lot of men who are on the fence about love, but kind of skittish about commitment, decided, I don't want to go through this alone. And so I think a lot of men also decided they wanted to find love and stop wasting time. A lot of people got the idea life is short. What am I doing? And that helped motivate people who were on the fence.
Right.
Yeah. So those are the changes that I saw.
Yeah.
Makes sense, right?
That does make sense. because again, all of a sudden you had to spend the time actually by yourself where we couldn't get out. We couldn't go do the things. We couldn't go. Yeah. And it's like, do you want to, like for myself, I live alone and I have 4 pets who have been making an appearance today. Sorry, y'all. But like for me, that's my like day-to-day comfort of having them around. But, at the end of the day, it's not a human being.
Yeah, I gotcha. Well, I think also the pandemic created a lot of opportunity for introspection for anyone who was ready to wake up. There were a ton of awakenings, a ton of new businesses. I mean, I have a podcast too called Breathe, Love, and Magic. And I can't tell you how many people send me stuff about, in 2020, like so many people opened up, had awakenings, shifted gears, left their companies, started their own thing, started painting, started creating decks of cards, wrote books. And it was an incredible creative opening. Like somebody cracked the creative world open and people it just oozed out of them, and which is actually, I think, incredibly exciting. So
for sure.
There's a lot of new books and tools and things and people who are sharing their experiences, and it's good.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. And maybe that's a reflection of they say there's a rise in the feminine energy, and certainly feminine energy is very creative. So that's another way of looking at it, and evidence that feminine is rising.
Absolutely. So, okay. So we are kind of coming to the tail end of the show. So are there any last words to our viewers?
Well, if you want to find love, don't hesitate. Just go and do it. The best thing you can do is meet a bunch of people and not scrutinize everybody. You can scrutinize them later. First, you got to see who calls you again or who you want to spend time with again or whatever, Let them all shake out and you can figure it out. Don't get attached too quickly. So that's about the love. On the intuition thing, oh my gosh, please listen to your gut. Listen. Your gut will never steer you wrong. Sometimes your heart could steer you wrong about love, because, people say to me, oh, the heart wants what the heart wants. I'm like, no, you have to have your brain engaged as well. But your gut will never steer you wrong about things. It's there for a reason. Your intuition, your instinct, it's inborn, and it will serve you well. And if it isn't, you can always get a reading from somebody.
This is very true.
Yeah.
And do you do readings for people?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
I do past life readings in the Akashic Records, and I do regular intuitive readings, where I channel people's spirit guides. They are angels. Sometimes an occasional passed on ancestor might show up, but I can't make any promises about that. But it does happen. Do a little mediumship.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. So tell everybody where they can find you.
They can find me at breatheloveandmagic.com. Oh. And also at nevertoolate.biz. So breatheloveandmagic.com redirects. But the podcast is on the breatheloveandmagic.com page.
Okay, we'll be sure to get that link and put it in with the links and everything that go with the show. That way our viewers can have a way to easily click on that. I want to thank you so much, Ronnie, for joining us today and being a part of the show. Absolutely loved having you on. So
thank you so much. It was fun. Take care, everyone.
take care. All right, bye.